right. Well, it was a active day, maybe not in terms of full thunderstorm activity, but I mean, it was off and on rainfall, at least where I was, for a good amount of the day today, especially as we went into this evening, to where it was shower activity going on here and there. Now, as we go on and start off this forecast, what's on tap for tonight? Well, obviously, you can see by the title of the stream here, this tropical system will cause major issues for a lot of people. And so that is the main thing that we're going to talk about tonight. In fact, we're going to talk about that first. That's going to be the first thing we talk about tonight. So mostly dry, cool conditions tonight. Afternoon thunderstorms return as we go into tomorrow. Unsettled patterns return with scattered showers and thunderstorms, warming trend Thursday/Friday, and drier conditions return behind another front. Temperatures near normal with lower rain chances this weekend. So all of that we're going to go in and talk about behind the tropics first. And so without further ado, let's go on and get started. If you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, go on and do so. It's free, it's free, it's free. So we no longer have Invest 90. That's gone. No longer here with us anymore. This is now potential tropical cyclone 1, because it's obviously the first one. And so this right now is causing rainfall activity in parts of Texas and Louisiana, over inside of Mississippi, and in Mexico as well. And as it's gaining strength, you can see how it's moving off into the Gulf. As it moves off into the Gulf, it's gaining strength, and it's going to turn into that future tropical storm. Yes, you heard that correctly. Future tropical storm. Here it is right here. The path for potential tropical cyclone 1 here. It's going to turn into a depression pretty much tomorrow, either like late tonight or tomorrow morning. It's going to be a depression. And then as we get into 1 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, it's expected to be a tropical storm. Going to be bringing tropical storm force conditions to the coastal areas of Louisiana and even down, even near Houston potentially. It could be bringing tropical storm force conditions. So this thing really did get active pretty quickly. But one thing I will say about this system is that it really, according to the National Hurricane Center, they're not too confident of it, of it kind of going forward. They're not really too confident for it. And so they kind of end at 1 o'clock in the morning there on Thursday. You have that depression there, and it kind of just continues to linger over Louisiana before, according to the NHC, it kind of just fizzles out a little bit. So right now, it's around sustained winds of around 30 miles per hour, and it's moving northeast at 6 miles an hour. So it is pretty slow. It is pretty slow. So what's going on right now in terms of the ensembles? What's going on in terms of these? Well, if we go and take a look at the global hurricane models first, global hurricane models have taken a bit of a downtrend. You can see how only you have like 4 models kind of going and continuing, while the rest of them kind of just stay back and don't really do anything else. So the hurricane models here are kind of showing more of a conservative view here. And as you go into the GEFS, same thing, kind of showing a bit more of a conservative view. It does go a bit further than what it did have. So I will say that, but only like 1, 2, 3 models go towards South Carolina like that, and they don't really do anything. It's 1,005, 1,010 millibar low pressure. That's pretty weak. In fact, that probably just bring us some rainfall for the most part. Maybe gusty winds, but like very, very minor. And then if we go in and take a look at the European, the big one, European, I mean, it's all over this. It's saying it's going to be a 998, some sort of weak tropical storm as it makes its way towards us over the next 72 hours. And it shows us kind of being more inside of that more lower, higher intense area here in terms of our low pressure being at 998, and then higher confidence bringing us tropical storm force conditions here. So honestly, I mean that's a 2-for-1 right there. That's a 2-for-1 right there. You have 2 models right here saying that it's not really going to be much, and then you have one saying that it's going to be something that we really need to watch for. And so again, this is all we're going to look at the deterministic models real quick and see what they have to say. And as we start off with the GFS first, this is the model that we use every single night when we look at the future, the long-term future. So very, very familiar with all of us. We start off here on Wednesday. This is the GFS again, the one that is more on the more lower, not so confident in this thing really doing anything side. And I will say that it does bring a huge shield of rainfall. I mean, look how much rainfall we're looking at here in Alabama. Look how much rainfall in Georgia. Look at Mississippi, Florida. And as we go all the way into Thursday night, going into Friday, we have some rainfall moving in throughout the state. And as you go more and more into Friday, going into Saturday, you have another system coming in that, doesn't really have anything to do with the actual system itself. And we just get some rainfall activity all the way through Friday, but then Saturday comes along and things get dry. And so this is the GFS way of saying that not too much is going to happen. We're going to get some beneficial rainfall in some spots, but not too much is going to happen. And I would not be mad with that scenario. Beneficial rainfall and not too much happens in terms of, heavy winds or in terms of like a big storm coming through. Now, the European, being the more higher output one, this one shows more of a more concerning scenario. You start off here going into around Thursday afternoon, going into Thursday evening, and you can see the low pressure 1006, not the strongest, obviously not the strongest, but it is still having some good bands of rain with it, still maybe trying to have gusty winds with it, and it kind of just goes out to sea and starts strengthening out there. So as that moves off, you don't really see too much from this, except for, like I said, rainfall and some gusty wind activity. I mean, a tropical storm, I don't know if this is technically tropical storm strength. I don't think it really is. I think a 1006 millibar low pressure is a bit too high, because remember, the higher the low pressure is, meaning the weaker the storm is. So I don't think that this is a really tropical storm for strength right here. If you want to take a look at the winds, though, on the lower levels, I mean, you see some winds going up, but I see 19 knots, 13 knots, so that's not really producing too much in terms of wind on the ground. Obviously, if we was to go in and look at the upper atmosphere, I'm pretty sure those winds would be cranking, which they are. And so that's why a lot of people are also talking about a severe weather threat as well. Not only just a rainfall threat and a gusty wind threat, but a threat here for some severe weather. And what type of severe weather? I'm talking about tornadoes. I mean, the dirty side of the storm, you all know what that is, the side where the tornadoes happen in like a tropical system. And so you can see how this side right here, this southeastern side, cranking. I mean, winds are up to around 60 knots or so. That's a pretty good, especially since it's 850, millibars up into the air, or so. I mean, you definitely can see that. And so as we go in and move into the dew points or so, seeing what's going on in terms of our moisture. Moisture-wise, we're there. I mean, we're up into the 70s. That's well more than enough moisture for some severe weather to get going. And then Cape being the last one, which I'm going to have to go back to the GFS for. Let me check this out. Surface-based Cape over here. Move all the way into, let's see, that is on Friday around 8 o'clock in the morning or so. You don't see too much until like a bit later. So, is the possibility there? Yeah, I mean, it's there. It is there. Maybe for some tornado activity to occur, 2%, 5% risk, whatever we get. I would not be surprised if we see other areas. I mean, it may not be South Carolina. Maybe it's Georgia. Maybe it's Alabama. Maybe it's Mississippi. Maybe it's Florida. We don't know what area is going to be there yet. So we're going to have to wait for, the storm to continue to try and figure itself out. But once we get more of those SPC outlooks, once we get more information there, well, then we'll see what happens there for right now. But anyways, in terms of, that's pretty much all here in terms of what this may have for South Carolina. If we go and take a look at the NHC, their website, they have potential tropical cyclone 1 here. Again, SPC outlook, they have something for Saturday, but that's up there in the north central U.S. That has nothing to do with us. Flash flooding potential, obviously we know, from Atlanta, Georgia to Birmingham to Montgomery to Mississippi, Jackson, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, over into Houston, over into Lake Charles, those areas over there have that risk as we move throughout the next 3 days in terms of flash flooding. And those areas that I just called out are the main areas. Those are the main areas. You can see over here on the right side of the screen, this is where we're starting to look at it from a day-to-day scale, but this over here is just over the next 3 days in general. This big one, the ones on the side, that's day by day. Now, you can see up there in South Carolina where we are, slight risk up there in the very far upstate as we move into day 3, and then day 3 as well. We also have some in the light green as well. So I think that may, because that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, Friday, they think they may have decreased it a little bit. We'll check out the excessive rainfall outlook in just a moment here and get more in depth with that. But for right now, you can see that a risk of flash flooding, even if this storm doesn't do anything, the risk of flash flooding is there. So we need to take that seriously, even if we don't get any sort of bad winds or anything like that. And the key messages that they have, potentially life-threatening flash and urban flooding, is likely through Thursday across Louisiana and the southern Mississippi, and it's possible near the upper Texas coast. Flash flooding is also possible across Alabama, Georgia, Florida Panhandle throughout the end of the week, and prolonged rainfall may extend the flood threat into the weekend. Tropical storm force winds are expected along the Louisiana coast on Wednesday, from Sabine Pass to Morgan City, where a tropical storm warning is now in effect, and minor to moderate coastal flooding is also expected as well for some of those areas. And another area is rip currents as well. If you go into, well, they don't have it out yet. I think we need, no, storm surge, excuse me. The 1 to 3 areas goes from the mouth of the Mississippi River all the way to Morgan City. It's 1 to 3. Over here, 2 to 4 from, I think that's Port Bolivar in Texas, all the way over into Morgan City. That's up to 4 feet, and then 1 to 3 from Matagorda to back over towards Galveston Bay. That's around 1 to 3 feet of storm surge over in that area. So if you know anybody along the Louisiana coast, along the Texas coast, let them know that obviously they have a tropical storm coming for them, and storm surge is a potential issue here that they may have to watch out for. But that's pretty much all they have to say here in terms of this system. I mean, we went over the ensembles. We know that the European is still a bit more active with this one, more than the GEFS is anyway. I mean, look at the GEFS showing like barely anything here. But that's pretty much all I have to say here for our tropics update. So hopefully, if you have any questions about it, you definitely can ask. I mean, we're going to be here for probably another 10, 20 minutes or so. So definitely still ask them. The chat's open. You just have to be a subscriber, though. So with that out of the way, the tropics out of the way, let's go on now and talk about what is currently going on throughout the state of South Carolina for our short-term future and just our regular weather, not including the tropics. We may, include the tropics if it's a part of the long-term models or the temperature anomalies, but for right now, regular stuff. What's currently going on? Well, right now you can see rainfall going on up there in the upstate. You can see rainfall going on in the Midlands, going on inside of the low country areas. And you have some coastal flooding as well. Coastal flooding all the way from Horry County over into Georgetown County and then all the way over into Charleston County. These areas have a coastal flood advisory for around the next 2 to 3 hours. So if that's a problem for you, make sure you do something about it. Now, as we go over into the entire U.S., we have a bunch of warnings and a bunch of alerts going on, but rainfall going on throughout the southeast, going on over into the south central U.S. We have even that's a severe thunderstorm warning. That's a destructive baseball-sized hail going on in portions of Kansas just to the west of Pratt, moving south. And then we have some more severe weather going on in Indiana, rainfall with more severe weather in Michigan, the Dakotas getting on some rainfall, Montana getting in on some big-time storms up there. And then in the west overall, they're not looking too bad. Maybe Southern California, Arizona getting in on some rainfall. Now, what about for our cloud cover? Cloud cover right now seems to be covering the entire state of South Carolina, statewide, coast, all the way up into the mountains, completely covered. And if we go on and take a look at our cloud cover for the future, going on to push this forward, you can see that we do have that cloud cover is starting to move out a little bit. You start to see it kind of move out a little bit. And as you move all the way to 11 a.m., going all the way to around 12 p.m. or so, you can start to see that cloud cover activity continuing to move more and more into the southeast and away from us. Watch as we go into Wednesday evening. Watch as we go into Thursday. But then you think all is good. You think all is good here as we go into Thursday, 12 o'clock in the morning here. But more cloud cover comes in, and guess what? We are taking over immediately again. Immediately, we're taking over once again with cloud cover moving into Thursday afternoon. So, I mean, it looks like things are clearing up. Things are looking good for a lot of us, and it could seem like that. If you're in the upstate going into the like Wednesday evening, Wednesday afternoon time frame, maybe even late morning tomorrow, you may be thinking, okay, well, I mean, it looks like nicer weather starting to move through, but then as soon as you get into Wednesday night, Thursday morning, cloud cover returns. Air quality for tonight looks like that we have a couple of yellows out there if you're in the yellow area, the moderate area. It's not too good, but it's also not too bad either. So just if you're there, make sure you pay attention to the air quality if you're out for a long period of time tonight. Now for your current temperatures right now, we're talking about 73 in Somerville, 75 in Charleston, Beaufort, 72 in Orangeburg, and 73 in Georgetown, 76 inside of Myrtle Beach, and 75 in Conway, 77 Hartsville, and 75 in Lugoff, 71 in Union, Spartanburg, Gaffney, 70 inside of Greenville, and 71 in Clemson and Anderson. Now for our low temperatures for tonight, you're talking about 64 in Greenville, Spartanburg, as well as 69 in Columbia, 69 in Orangeburg, and 68 in Moncks Corner, 73 inside of Charleston, and 74 in Hilton Head Island, 69 in Georgetown, 72 in Myrtle Beach, and 68 in Aiken and Barnwell. And then for your high temperatures for tomorrow, we're talking about 88 in Greenville, Spartanburg, 90 in Columbia, as well as Camden, 92 in Sharon, 89 in Florence, 87 in Kingstree, Moncks Corner, Charleston, 86 in Walterboro. Now for our rainfall for tonight going into tomorrow, we're talking about 1/100 of an inch to 1/10 of an inch for a good amount in the upstate in the central Midlands. But once you get into the southern Midlands, once you get into a bit more of the western Midlands, and even parts of the PD areas, Grand Strand, you're talking about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. Then as you get more into that southern Midland low country area, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. If not, maybe even 1/2 an inch to an inch. SPC outlook for tonight, thunderstorms are still technically possible. Let's see if they came out with the update so far. I'm gonna see real quick if they have one. They have that one. It's pretty much the exact same. They didn't change anything to it. So what we're seeing here, thunderstorms are still technically possible statewide, even though it doesn't really look like that right now. But we're still gonna say that there is. Tomorrow, thunderstorms are also possible. From the western upstate to pretty much most of the southern Midlands, the low country, the Grand Strand areas, these areas have a chance of thunderstorm activity for tomorrow. And then as we get into Thursday, marginal risk of severe weather for the upstate, for the Midlands, over inside the northern PD areas, and everybody else in that light green. And so this is what I'm talking about right here. You can see Thursday, June the 18th, we have a marginal risk of severe weather, a marginal risk of severe weather here for Thursday. So we're going to continue to wait and see what the hazards are tomorrow evening. So make sure you're there for that if you want to know about that. And then also the day 3 outlook, we'll see if we have that marginal risk expand more towards the coastal areas on Friday. Excessive rainfall, we're not looking for anything tonight. Tomorrow, like a very small sliver of, the Savannah coast over here, like Hardeeville, or the Savannah border near like Hardeeville. Those areas have a little isolated flash flooding risk, but it's not too bad as you go into tomorrow. And then as you go into day 3, this is the day right here. This is on Thursday. Thursday, scattered flash flooding is in the forecast for Greenville going to Anderson, Walhalla, Edgefield. These areas are in the slight risk. And then if you're in the green, Rock Hill, Spartanburg, Lawrence, Newbury, going on to Bamberg, Allendale, Hampton, these areas have a risk of isolated flash flooding. And then on day 4, it expands. We're talking about on Friday. Friday going into Saturday morning. Another slight risk up there in the upstate, Walhalla going up into Pickens, but then everybody else in the green, Greenville, Gaffney, Greenwood, going on into Florence, Myrtle Beach, Georgetown. These areas are in the green. Then as you go into day 5, things calm down. This is Saturday going into Sunday morning, this is. So things definitely do look a lot better as you move into Sunday, or Saturday going into Sunday. Now, in terms of the crazy score for tonight, we're at a 20. Makes sense. I mean, we still have a a little risk, I guess, even though it may be limited, of storms. So I couldn't really put us inside the calm category. I actually had to do a little bit of an override tonight. So this score is actually kind of pretty influenced by me. Not completely my own score, still automated, but I influenced it a little bit for tonight. So it's up to around a 20. And then let's go on now and talk about the models. Remember, time is at the bottom part of your screen. Make sure that you go on and pay attention to that, as that is very, 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 very important to go on and do so. Because if you don't, there's a good chance that you could lose track of where we are and what's going on. And obviously, we don't want anybody to be lost or anything like that. So we're going to start off first with the short-term models. And let me go to the 9 o'clock p.m. here. We go all the way through into tonight, all the way to 12 o'clock in the morning. You can see heavy rainfall from the Midlands. You can see heavy rainfall in the low country areas, the Grand Strand areas. I mean, even as you go into 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, heavy, heavy, heavy showers. And maybe even, maybe a thunderstorm. I mean, the ingredients are still there according to the SPC. So maybe a heavy downpour with some lightning, some thunder. I mean, it's possible tonight. And as you go more into this, we'll go more into tomorrow morning or so, more into even the late morning hours, you can still see rainfall is still here. You can still see heavy rainfall activity, especially in the low country areas. Once again, I mean, you start off here 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it still looks pretty active. Now, as you go to around noon or so here on Wednesday, we're looking at some more rainfall activity, more thunderstorm activity, and that's why I was saying that thunderstorm activity returns as we go into tomorrow afternoon. Going into tomorrow evening, once again, we're starting to see more thunderstorm activity during the evening hours, and then we kind of clear up as we go into Wednesday night, going into Thursday morning. But then look at that tropical system over there in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama, just bringing in a whole bunch of rainfall to those areas out west. We're still dry as we go into Thursday afternoon, by the way, looking nice. Maybe not having fun in the sun, but maybe fun under the clouds as we're not having too much rainfall. But watch as we get into Thursday around 2 o'clock p.m. That tropical storm influence starts to build. That tropical storm influence or tropical depression or whatever it will be at this time at 2 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, if anything, is starting to influence some shower activity to go more and more into the state. And so that's even if, that's why I'm so big on saying, even if we do not see any major tropical storm, any major tropical depression, any major winds with this, look at all these showers, look at all these storms, look at all these supercells that we have in front that's going on as it moves more and more and more up into the state, causing thunderstorm activity. So that's just something to keep in mind here, and that's why the title is what it is. Tropical system will cause major issues for a lot of people. I mean, not even just in South Carolina, obviously. Let's go on and look at the long-term future now. So, past the storm system, what happens? We start off here going into Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, Friday morning here, and this tropical system's kind of gone, but we have another little system coming through right after, and that system is bringing a cold front. That's what's causing, this system right here is what's going to cause all that severe weather up there in, like, Illinois and in Indiana, potentially. Well, I haven't seen anybody call it that yet, so I'm not going to say that, but I'm not going to say that terminology yet. But for right now, they're saying some major, major, major tornadoes are possible tomorrow over there in Illinois and Indiana. We'll talk about that in just a moment after we're done with, San Antonio, Raleigh, Philadelphia. But as we go more into Saturday, going into Sunday, we know that we're going to be dry. We know that we're not going to see too much. If we do see something, it's not going to be much at all. We go into Monday, going into Tuesday. We have, obviously, another little storm system, maybe trying to move in, but not doing much at all. We continue into Wednesday of next week. Looks like another cold front going to be trying to move through. And then as we go into Saturday and Sunday, not this Saturday and Sunday, but next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, things just continue to just look all over the place. I mean, we're 300 hours out, so things obviously will look like that. But models right now, once you get around 300 plus hours out, they really aren't that reliable at that point in time. Let's go and take a look at the total precipitation. First off, I just want to go and see what happens throughout that storm system. And of course, the GEFS here kind of has us around half an inch to around an inch and a half or so as you move all the way throughout that system as you go into the end of the week. And then for the European model probably going to have us at a bit of a higher rate. And what would you guess? It does have most of us around an inch or two as we move into this weekend. Now, what happens if you go further? So all the way like 360 hours out. Well, the European kind of has us around 2 inches all the way up to around 3-4 inches of rainfall as we move throughout the next 360 hours. And the GEFS has us around 2, maybe close to 3, higher than 3 inches of rainfall as we move into the next 384 hours. So good amount of rainfall. I'm not gonna say anything bad about this. We need this rainfall. The drought that is going on right now. Really want that to go away. And the only way how we're gonna get rid of it is with rainfall. So now that is all out of the way there, let's go on and talk about the temperatures real quick. We're going to start off here with the anomalies first. And as we start off into tonight, obviously we know that we're going to see some cooler conditions tonight. We're not seeing, those high, low temperatures that we have been seeing. I mean, low temperatures tonight, as you saw earlier, in the 60s and 70s. I mean, literally a couple of days ago, we were seeing 70s and 80s for low temperatures. So definitely a lot cooler than what we have been seeing. Now, as we go into Wednesday, going into Thursday, another cooler air mass will be trying to move through as we go into Thursday, Friday as well. And then a cold front will be trying to cause some cooler conditions, and it kind of, sets an influence a little bit. But as you go into next week, another, set of cooler air tries to move in through Monday. I think that's due with that system that we were looking at potentially for next week early. That could cause some cooler air to move through. Then as you go into the mid parts of next week, well, another cold front coming through. So this just seems like a train of cold fronts at this point. And then as you go more into Thursday, going more into Friday and Saturday and Sunday, not, obviously the next couple of days, I'm talking about next week, we're still seeing that battle between warmer air and cooler air. But warmer air tries to take it as you go more into like the end of the month, going into early July. So I think that's when we may start to see warmer air really start to take its place back, is later into June, going into early July. Now, as we take a look at our temperatures for the actual temperatures, not just looking at actual anomalies, we want to take a look at this going into tomorrow, going into Thursday. Friday, we're up into the 80s and 90s or so. Go all the way into Sunday, we're in the mid-90s, going up to the upper 90s as you go into Monday and Tuesday, going into Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, you're just continuing to see 90s over and over again, even as you go all the way through into next weekend, according to the GFS. But if you go in and take a look at the GEFS, which is the actual one we should probably be using, this ensemble right here kind of has us around the upper 80s, lower 90s, maybe even trying to get us into the mid 90s as we move more and more into the end of the month. So, like I said, I think that warming trend really will come back as we move later into the month. That's all I have to say here, though, in terms of the main forecast for tonight. No earthquakes happen, obviously no drought update. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Also, hit the like button if you have not already. I'm just checking that right now. We've had 38 people tune in tonight, and we only have 11 likes. 38 people tuned in tonight, and we only have 11 likes. If you are a part of that group of 27 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free. So we're going to start off with my Aunt Lula, who was here first tonight. She says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone had a wonderful day. Today's high in Georgetown was around 80 degrees. Currently, it's around 75. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. Where I was today, seemed like it was around 73 right now. And then the high temperature for today was around 83. And we got some rainfall today. And it's still raining right now. We got around 1/10 of an inch of rainfall for today. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Then my Aunt Lewis says, in Georgetown today, it was cloudy all day with some rain showers. My Nana says, hello, Jay and all. Hello to you. Then Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I've got you around 83 here. I'm currently at 75. Please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know it's free. Absolutely. Mount Lewis says it was not too bad here in Georgetown. Then Mr. Michael comes in and says, good evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone enjoyed a good day. Well, I did. Thad says, good evening, just from the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well with everyone. It was a beautiful day here in San Antonio. Sunny skies and warm temperatures made it much more beautiful. Well, thank you so much for that weather report. For where you are in San Antonio, we experienced a mild high of 90 that was uniquely comfortable. Interesting to see there. And then Trell says, greetings, everyone, greetings to you. And that's all that I can see here throughout the chat. So again, if you want to go in and put something inside of the chat, you have to be a subscriber, obviously. You cannot type anything. If you are not subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you can't type. So make sure that you subscribe so you can type like all the people who did tonight. In fact, let's go on and give them a round of applause for typing tonight. Let's go on and give them a round of applause real quick for typing tonight. Oh, you can't hear it. Wait a minute. There we go. Let's redo that real quick. So again, thank you to everyone who did go on and type for tonight. And we're going to go on real quick and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas outside of South Carolina? What are you talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. But before, because I know some people from South Carolina may just go on and just start leaving now because the main forecast for South Carolina may be over. If you have anybody inside of areas in the Midwest over inside the Great Lakes, you might want to stay because I want to talk about that severe weather update up there, because that is a lot of bad severe weather that's going to be going on up there later. So if you haven't, family, friends up there, anybody else that you want to look at their weather for them, make sure that you stay, because you definitely will want to hear this. But we're going to start off with San Antonio first. You have low temperatures tonight at 73, high temperatures for tomorrow at 93. So it's going to be back to being hot, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 78. No precipitation is expected at this time. That's pretty interesting to see there. And you're not going to see really any precipitation until around Friday with the 20% there. And you kind of just go the weekend with it raining. But then as you get back into Sunday and Monday, things calm down in terms of rainfall. Temperature-wise, you're going to continue to stay up into the 90s. You're pretty much going to stay in the 90s throughout the next 7 days. So you're not going to receive any sort of 80s or anything like that, at least for right now. At least for right now, you're not going to see that. Now, as you go and take a look at your excessive rainfall outlook, you have nothing until around like Friday and Saturday. Isolated flash flooding is possible for you there, so make sure that you're paying attention there in terms of your your excessive rainfall. And you have no severe weather, so severe weather, you are indeed good to go there. And again, I find it kind of interesting how you don't really have a rain chance, even though you have that huge area over there. In terms of potential tropical cyclone 1 that's causing all of this flash flooding in Texas, but it's just not, you're just too far inland right now to kind of reach and get any of that rainfall. Now for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 68, high temperatures for tomorrow at 95, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 74. No precipitation is expected at this time. Severe weather definitely is a possibility as you go into Thursday, a 5% risk of severe weather. So make sure that you're watching for that. Excessive rainfall-wise, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall on Friday. Isolated flash flooding is possible. And then for your future, it looks like that you're going to be active Thursday night, Friday night, and then maybe you're going to take a little bit of a break this weekend. And then as you get back into Monday, you're back to being active with a 40% chance of rainfall on Monday. Temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be hot. Friday probably will be like your coolest day, and it's 88 degrees. Thursday, you're going to be up to 100 degrees, so it's going to be really hot for you. Before we go on and talk about Philadelphia, top fan question of the night for tonight. And honestly, I think I'm going to do it with the models. I'm just going to, or should I do it with the models? Actually, no. No, I'm not going to do it with the models. I'm going to do it with the tropics. Actually. I'm going to say, the question for tonight, it's going to be, I said that there was obviously a risk of, flooding, obviously, with this storm system that moves in, and then there's also a chance for some winds to move in as well. But I also said there was another threat, and I'm thinking of a particular one. So I could have said another one, but I'm looking for one specific one that I said. There is a specific threat that I said that could potentially happen in South Carolina. So if you know the answer to that, go on and put it inside the chat, and you'll win Top Fan of the Night for tonight. Again, that system that's moving in, potential tropical cyclone 1. What was the other? What was the other threat I said that could potentially come with that? We're going to move on to Philadelphia. Low temperatures tonight at 61. High temperatures for tomorrow at 83. And then low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow night, but tomorrow during the day, there's a chance of showers there. Now, in terms of your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be pretty up. Thursday, around 92. 83 on Friday, though. So you do get a bit of a cool down there. But as you get into Saturday, going into Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, you're still in the 80s. And then as you go all the way into your future rainfall-wise, looks like you're going to be pretty active throughout the rest of the week. But as you go into the weekend, things start to stay pretty calm. And then severe weather-wise, it looks like that you do have a risk of severe weather on Thursday. Slight risk of severe weather, so make sure that you're paying attention. Please make sure that you're paying attention, because obviously we do not want you to be caught off guard up there. And then the final area, that being Duncan, Oklahoma, which usually we say is the more active location, but tonight it's not. And over there, you have low temperatures tonight at 73, high temperatures for tomorrow at 97, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 76. No precipitation is expected at this time. Severe weather is possible on Thursday, so a 5% risk of flash flooding there. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, seems like that you do not have a risk for tonight, tomorrow. Thursday, you have a slight risk of excessive rainfall, so 15% risk of flash flooding there. And then as you go into Friday, going into Saturday, things calm down. But Friday, you do also have a little isolated risk there once again. And then for your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to stay up into the 90s. 98 on Sunday. So it's going to be pretty hot there. And then rainfall-wise, you're also going to be pretty active once again. And that's all that I can see here. So let me see. I see winds, wind gusts. No, that's not correct. I said, what threat besides rainfall and wind? What threat besides rainfall and wind? Or what other risk was I talking about there? And so that's all I have to see here say here in terms of those 4 areas. So what's going on throughout the entire U.S.? Okay, so I want to talk about this. Excessive rainfall may produce locally considerable flash flooding over parts of the northwestern Gulf Coast, the lower Mississippi Valley, and the deep south through Thursday. Potential tropical cyclone 1 is forecasted to become a tropical storm, which it's going to be Arthur. Arthur's the first name of the season. It's expected to become tropical storm Arthur. As it moves along or just off the northwestern Gulf Coast through Wednesday, an outbreak of severe weather is also forecasted in the Midwest on tomorrow. And so, also we have intensive heat going on from Oklahoma to Texas, over into California, Oregon, Nevada. Those areas really are going to start to feel some heat over there. And so the main thing that I wanted to talk about here was the threat of severe weather, because I feel like that I should talk about this, not, and it's not a part of South Carolina. Damaging floods? No, not damaging floods. That says I yield, no clue. Well, again, we'll give you all, a couple of more minutes here. Not rainfall, has nothing to do with rainfall here. Has nothing to do, or with flooding, I should say, and has nothing to do with winds, I guess, in terms of just gusty winds in general. But, yeah. So again, I'll give y'all a couple more minutes. If y'all can't get it, I'll just go in and reveal it. But, the main thing I wanted to show y'all right here, no, not a cold front. The main thing I wanted to show y'all here was just this area for tomorrow. This is for tomorrow right here. This is for Wednesday going into Thursday. You see this moderate risk of severe weather up there? That's for Springfield, Illinois, Peoria, going into Bloomington, Illinois. These areas over here, even going into parts of western Indiana, that are inside of this risk of severe weather for tomorrow. That is a moderate risk. And the reason why they have it is because there's a 15% hatch risk, double hatch risk of tornadoes. A 15% risk of tornadoes, and then also a chance that those tornadoes could potentially be EF3 or greater. So if you know anybody in that area, Peoria, Springfield, going on into Bloomington, Illinois, let them know. Intense tornadoes could be coming for them tomorrow, and that's not even it. In the 10%, you have areas like Fort Wayne going into Aurora, going into Naperville, Joliet, going into Gary, Indiana. Those areas have a 10% hatch risk of tornadoes, those being EF2 or greater. And then also, just having that 10% there in general. Day 5, that's Chicago, that's Indianapolis, that's Toledo, St. Louis, Missouri. If you know anybody in those areas, they have a 5%. And then in the green, that's the 2%, Columbus, Milwaukee, Kansas City, New Orleans, and then also Minneapolis, which also, this risk that you see down here in New Orleans going down to Baton Rouge, that area of tornadoes down there is due to potential tropical cyclone 1, which is the answer for tonight. Which Spad did get it first. He said tornadoes. Congratulations to you for getting the top fan of the night for tonight. So, yes, that was the main thing there. So congratulations to you. You got it for tonight. And so pretty much what I wanted to just show here really, oh, that's not supposed to be like that. Pretty much what I wanted to show here was just the intense tornado situation that can happen up there. And then also, damaging winds also being a main concern, hail being the least of the concerns. But damaging winds also being up there. So if you know anybody in any of these areas up here in the north, especially in Illinois and Indiana, let them know. Severe weather is coming for them tomorrow. And, it's nothing that they should mess around with. Nothing that they should mess around with at all. But that's all I have to say for tonight. I've already been here for 41 minutes. I definitely need to go and let y'all go do whatever y'all need to do. So, let me check out the chat one more time. Yeah, that won the thing for tonight. Honorable mentions, Mr. Chris was there, Mr. Daniel was there, my Aunt Lula was there, and so them 3 are honorable mentions for the night for tonight. And then one more thing before I go on and leave, my Aunt Lula did send me a picture that I did post on my Instagram and my Twitter, which if you follow me on there, you probably saw it. But I did post it. Here it is right here. She says clouds at 6:05 p.m. Clouds at 6:05 p.m. yesterday. Yesterday, not today. 6:08 is when she sent it. And seems like that cloud cover was moving in earlier, you could still actually see some blue skies. Obviously, probably not today, but you still see a good amount of blue skies yesterday, so that's good to see there. But if you want to go on and send me a picture, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com, or you can at me on Twitter or Instagram at 360_weather. That's all I have to say. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the share button, and if you're new, go on and do so. Hit those 2 buttons before you leave. 752 subscribers trying to get to 800. Let's go on and get there.